This episode of Geek Entertainment Television is brought to you by the University of Advancing Technology.
Hi, this is Irina Slutsky reporting for Geek Entertainment Television on location in San Francisco with Tim Wu, not of the Wu-Tang Clan, but almost just as fancy, dangerous, and important. He's a professor at Columbia University at the law school, and also the chairman of the media reform group called
Free Press.
the Free Press. So we have a lot in common. We're trying to reform the media.
That's right.
And one more thing, ladies and gentlemen. You've all heard of this term, network neutrality. Let's tell them what it really means.
Well, net neutrality is network design principle. That is to say, it's the state of the internet right now,
Okay.
which is to say it's open, you can have ridiculous TV shows, you can put up videos, you can do whatever you want. It's the opposite of a closed network, which is whatever the carriers want is on the network.
That's the way it is right now?
It means that you can throw whatever you want in the truck and it gets there,
Right.
as opposed to you got to ask what you can put on the truck. How's that? Yeah.
What are the impediments that may be happening or that are in the works right now that we're fighting against?
Well, there's like a historical thing going on here, which is most of the media for the last 150 years have been closed. That is, if you look at NBC or you look at the cable networks, they decide what goes on the network.
Right.
This isn't just anything goes. They absolutely decide. And so the threat comes from the fact that the broadcasters, cable, phone companies are just used to that business model and they want to go back to a model where they decide what goes. It's a difference between something where you need permission to talk and where you just talk.
You think it's important to leave it that way, is that right?
That's right. Yeah, I think it's, there's a lot of euphemisms. There's sort of like next generation network or moving forward, but all of it stands for the idea that big media companies want to be in charge, again, of the internet. The internet is fundamentally not a commercial network. A lot of the things on the internet don't make any commercial sense. I've been writing about the history of cable right now, and I'll tell you, in the early 70s, there was a time when everyone thought cable was like the future. Really? Everyone thought cable was going to be the coolest thing ever. But the problem was, in cable, you always had to have a business model, like a big business model that made sense. There's good things about cable. Let me not say that it's not terrible. I just want to say that this dream of a non-commercial network is something very special and very different. And it's hard to maintain. It's always under threat. It's always going to be under attack. The big media companies fundamentally do not like a non-commercial network. It's not their DNA, right? And so it is tolerated, but not really. So the internet will always be under threat. I think what's going to happen is, no one's going to tear down the internet. Right. They're going to neglect the internet and try and make it die and try and move people towards, for example, mobile platforms where it's decided what content is on there. Move them back towards cable television, move people back to the controlled forms of media where money is made by the owner of the pipes. Mm-hmm. I think the next 10 years is going to be a major effort to push people towards those kind of consumption and away from sort of the freewheeling. So it's not death by sort of destroying it, although at one point that I think we've averted that, and now it's more just kind of trying to let it die. The worst case scenario is 5 years from now, there is a major media crash, like the financial crash right now, and everybody goes down.
New York Times doesn't have enough money to print anything.
Not only New York Times, Comcast, everyone goes down.
Okay.
All the media companies fail, right? And the only companies left are like AT&T and Google, let's say, and they buy everything. Okay. And they're like, the old internet failed, we're moving to Web 5.0 or whatever, and the old internet and it's going to be a secure network, and it's going to be a next-generation network, and it's only going to carry approved content.
And you have to pay for it?
Oh, yeah, and it's like a flat rate. You pay for it, say $1,000 a month. You get your, and then you get everything, supposedly. Right. We're going to lose that difference between TV and newspaper media. Right. And there's just going to be media, period, right. And there's going to be less of it. Right. And like the nightmare scenarios where you basically have just 2 or 3 media outlets, period, across every form of media. And where they control absolutely what is on the one network, which we used to call the internet, probably be called something else. And eventually you ban the personal computer. Yeah. I mean, serious. You can see a lot of reasons. Personal computers are not secure. They create a lot of problems. And, so you eventually just go to this thing that the whole media world is like a package vacation. You pay like $900 and you get like the stuff. I don't know if you've ever gone to, Club Med or something. It's sort of like, you pay a little flat rate every year, and you can't leave the compound, but that's basically like the whole media world is like that.
Yeah. And what is the best case scenario? Like, what do we want to happen And then I have a follow-up question to that, which is, what do we do to make that happen?
I think the base case scenario, it's a little bit like now, but better, in the sense that we're in a world where the values that run the media are investigation of truth and delivery of the best forms of entertainment, and everyone gets a chance to be a part of it. I think the idea is something we've actually never had, which is a truly free media.
Yeah.
The media has never been like a regular industry, or never been normal. I mean, because the technology is weird. It's never been. In some ways, I'm talking about going back to a way things were hundreds of years ago, in a sense, where people listen to people in their community, except for it's the whole world or the whole country, and where in some sense you're free to be a viewer, and free to be a broadcaster in your own way. And that actually is the dominant form. The media is always going to be a weird kind of industry. But I think it's a better country, a more satisfying one, where you just have a chance to be heard, where you have a chance to be involved. I think people like that better. The battle right now is not on the computer, but over phones. Because there's a lot of interest in trying to make the cell phone like, that little package vacation, that you reach some of the network, but not all of it. Right. And people have to have a sense that this internet was built with their money, government money, and is theirs. And when they're denied access to it, blocking or preferential treatment, that really something that is theirs is being taken away. I think that's the most important thing.
Your one word for the future of the internet.
One word for the future of the internet. Media.
Media. There we go. That's a good one. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you on the internet.